Everybody's trying to figure out what the best AI model is. Is it Fable? Is it GPT 5.6? Or is it something else? In this video, we're not going to discuss anecdotal opinions of like, oh, I found this one to be smoother, or I found this other one to be better at coding but worse at writing. Let's figure out a more rigorous way to approach this problem so that you can figure out what the best AI model is for your business. But why should you even care? Can't you just pick an AI model from one of the big providers and settle for something that's good enough? Well, if you're doing something complex like software development, law, etc., you'll definitely want to squeeze as much power out of your AI model as possible. Even if you're doing something more rudimentary, your choice of model still matters. AI costs are ever increasing, and if you know what to pick, you can go with a model that's much simpler but will also cost you much less. Generally, the more complex a problem, the harder it is for an AI model to solve it. For example, a problem in the 50th percentile of complexity can be solved by most AI models, including open source ones. But a problem in the 90th percentile can only be solved by a handful of AI models. And going from the 90th percentile to the 91st percentile and beyond gets exponentially harder. Just like everybody knows middle school math, but as you get into calculus and then graduate level and beyond, the amount of people that grasp these increasingly more complex levels of math get exponentially smaller. If your AI model struggles on the hardest problems, a lot of strain will be placed on your team that'll have to go over the AI output and correct all the errors. It can also backfire by reducing your team's confidence in AI as a whole if any of these errors are not caught in review. So now that we've established why it's important to pick the best AI model, let's get one last thing out of the way before we talk about how you can pick the best one for your business, and that is base models. There are only a dozen or so providers of base models like OpenAI, Anthropic, xAI from Elon Musk, and a few Chinese AI labs. These are companies that train AI models from scratch, in contrast to tools like Perplexity or Microsoft's Copilot that are merely UI wrappers around the models. I highly suggest you always use the base models directly so you maintain full control, even if that's sometimes less convenient. So how do you pick? Most people's first intuition is to look at the publicly available benchmarks. And if we were to take these benchmarks at face value, the strongest available model right now would be Cloud Opus 4.8. It scores much higher than other AI models on these benchmarks that include coding, general knowledge, reasoning, and finance. There are also other benchmarks that cover other domains like biology, as you can see here. But benchmarks have a major flaw. The fact that they're open source and publicly available to everybody introduces a problem called contamination. This is when the solutions to the problems in a benchmark find their way into the training data of an AI model. And now, since the AI model has seen the answers to the benchmark problems during training, it'll become really good at solving these specific problems, but its performance will not generalize to other problems beyond the benchmark. This problem is also known as overfitting, and it can happen either intentionally if the team that's training the AI model specifically inserts benchmark problem solutions in their training data, or it can also happen unintentionally because a lot of these teams will outsource the data collection part to third-party vendors. These vendors will then scrape the web to find data, and sometimes that data can include solutions to the benchmarks, which is then sent to the team that trains the AI model. OpenAI even acknowledges this here on the GPT 4.0 paper, where they say that during our contamination check, we discovered that portions of Big Bench were inadvertently mixed into the training set, and we excluded it from our reported results. So if private benchmarks can serve as a reliable scale, then what's a better solution? I would argue private benchmarks. If we go to the blog post that announced Cloud Opus 4.8 and we scroll down, you'll see some major companies in the application layer like Cursor, which is an AI coding tool, and Harvey, which is a legal tool, that refer to their own private benchmarks. You'll see that Cursor, for example, refers to Cursor Bench, and then Harvey refers to their legal agent benchmark. These are private benchmarks that these companies have developed in order to be able to test how AI models are going to perform in their specific use cases. And because they're private, their solutions are not found on the web and thus don't have the problem of contamination. Besides contamination, it's obviously much better to test an AI model on exactly the work that you'll be doing in production rather than relying on generic reasoning benchmarks or even generic industry-specific benchmarks. So the benefit is twofold. For example, AI models might not perform the same if you give them a generic accounting benchmark versus an accounting benchmark only for public companies. And to illustrate this, we can take a look at the deep SWE benchmark that was developed by a company called DataCurve. This was actually a coding benchmark that was released before Fable and GPT 5.6. And back then, Claude Opus was considered the best AI model in coding. But what this new benchmark actually showed was that GPT 5.5 was outperforming it quite significantly, and it resulted in a very widespread shift in the narrative. And here we can contrast the results. On the left is SWEbench Pro, which is the previous public benchmark, and on the right is Deep SWE. And you can see there's quite a bit of variance. For example, GPT 5.5 jumped from 59% to 70%, and then we can see, for example, Claude Haiku went from 39% to 0%. So as you can see, a private benchmark can reveal a much different truth than a public benchmark. So how do you create your own one? We've made it easy for you. You can click the link in the video description and you'll end up on this site. And this is an Evals platform that we've built. So an eval is basically a benchmark, and you can use this to run your own tests on AI models. And the way you do it is, first you need an OpenRouter key. So if you click the link right here, it'll redirect you to OpenRouter, and you'll need to create an account and then create an API key. And what OpenRouter is, it's a way for you to run many different AI models without having to create a new billing account on each of these providers. So if we go on all models, you'll see that it has DeepSeek, it has even models from Xiaomi, but it also has the big providers like Anthropic. This is an up-and-coming Chinese one, ZAI, and OpenAI, and also Gemini. So you can access basically any AI model you want through this platform and have centralized billing. They do add a 3% fee on top, but for testing purposes, that's not going to be an issue. So once you get your key, you can add it right here. And then if you go to step 2, you'll see the models. So here you can select the models that you want to test. By default, it'll have these. So GPT 5.5, Claude Opus 4.8, Gemini, and Grok. And then you can create up to 20 test prompts. So I have added 3 here. The first one is name 5 countries whose names are exactly 5 letters long and give the capital of each. Then there's one that says, our e-commerce checkout conversion rate dropped from 4% to 3.8% this week after we changed the buy button from blue to green. And then it asks to give some reasons for why the conversion rate might have been reduced. And then the third one, it has a picture included, and it says how many and what animals are present in this picture. So if I zoom in here, you'll see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a 5th chicken on the left. So we'll see if they get that right. But on this platform, you can create prompts that include both text and pictures. Some models also support video, like Gemini supports video, but we won't be able to include video through this specific website. So once you have your prompts, you can go down here and click Run Prompts, and then it'll run the prompts that you gave it with the model. So it'll give you response A, B, C, D, and it won't tell you which model produced what response to avoid any bias. And also response A on prompt 2 won't be the same model as response A on prompt 1. So they are shuffled based on the prompt. And you'll see that on this prompt, for example, they had no problem doing this. So as far as I can count, every country is 5 letters and the capital city is also included. So I'll just vote as best the first one. So for each prompt, you vote as best the result that you think is best. And then on prompt 2, this is a bit more long form. So we'll see, like for example, this model also included a table in the response. I'm not gonna actually go and read through all of this. I'll just vote the model with the table as the best. And then on prompt 3, you'll see that 2 of the models were only able to detect 4 chickens. There are actually 5 chickens in the picture. So it would be either response B or response C that we'll select. This one gave a more verbose response. I don't know what this domestic fowl thing is. I think I like this response better, so I'll vote this one as best. And then it'll give you the results. And actually, I picked one response from Opus, one response for Gemini, and one response from Grok. So there's a tie. And it'll now show us that, for example, GPT 5.5 and Opus got this one wrong. And then we can see the responses that they had on the other prompts. Another thing that you can see is the time that it took for each one of them to give you back a response. So this, for example, took almost 17 seconds, whereas this one was just 5 seconds. But in general, you want to test with at least 10 prompts, because otherwise you're going to end up with a tie, like we did right here. But the more examples that you add, the less likely you are to end up with a tie. So this is how you create your own eval or benchmark in order to test your own AI models. Again, the link to the app will be in the video description, so you can just go click on it and play with the app yourself. Another thing you should keep in mind is that once you have decided on what AI model to use, it's important that you pair it with a suitable inference environment. Each use case has its own inference providers. For example, coding has tools like Cursor, Codex, OpenCode, and a couple of others that basically sit around the model and give it access to your file system or your browser, so it's able to do the work that you need it to do. And if you found that no model was suitable for your needs, click the link in the video description, schedule a call with us, and we'll see if we can fine-tune an AI model specifically for you.